pretty sure none of you have ever seen me. When you think of an animal rights advocate, I don't think you think of me. I'm a pet owner. I'm a mother. Today I'm a voice. In December of 2012, I went to Petland and I bought a puppy. She was beautiful. White hair, big brown eyes, and a silly tongue that hung out of her mouth. When I took her home, she slept all night. All the next day too. So I called Petland and asked for help. What do I do? I was told to give her some of that vitamin supplement they sent me home with. And by give it to her, they meant shove it down her throat. So I did. She wasn't getting better. 2 days later, she had her wellness checkup at their approved vet. The vet told me she had fading puppy syndrome. She wasn't gonna eat and she was gonna die. She was gonna die. I took her home. I wasn't gonna accept that answer. I fed her, I took care of her, and I nurtured her. She slowly got better. She slowly started to eat. About a week later, she was completely covered in snot. Something was wrong. I took her back to Petland's vet. They did some blood tests. They decided that she had a protosystemic liver shunt. Not fading puppy syndrome, something else was wrong with her. They suggested I leave her there. They were gonna give her an IV. They were gonna give her fluids. They were gonna fix her. They didn't fix her. Christmas came, and they were shutting down for Christmas. The vet told me I didn't have to take her home, but I couldn't leave her there. So I took her home, and she still got sicker and sicker. When I took her home, she still had the IV in her arm. They taped it up. Told me if something went wrong over Christmas break to take her to an emergency vet. They didn't want to take the IV out though because they had collapsed all of her veins and there'd be nowhere else for them to stick one. So for 4 days, she had an IV capped off, taped to her leg. She made it. Come Christmas morning, she seemed okay. The next day, we took her back to the vet. They took out all of her IVs. They sent me home with 7 different medications to keep her alive over the holidays. 7. When I left the doctor's office, I took her to Petland. She was weak, and she was tired, and she was bruised. You know what the store manager told me? Pick another one. Pick another one. I didn't. I took her home. She came from Felder Farms. You heard Dana talking about that. Craig Felder. He's out of Iowa. She's a puppy mill dog. We nursed her. We loved her. She stayed okay for the next 11 months. Everything seemed fine. And then she wasn't quite herself. We took her to the vet. They gave us some antibiotics, a 5-day treatment. Nothing to worry about. 5 days later, she was off the medication and didn't seem right. She seemed tired. I looked at her tongue, her big silly tongue, and it was pale. Her gums were pale. And we rushed her to the emergency vet. They wanted to do tests to see what was wrong. We left her there so they could run the tests. And an hour later, they called me and said, "You need to come back." She was laying there dying. She died that day. I had to go home and tell my kids that she died. My 8-year-old said nothing, with tears streaming down his face. My 6-year-old yelled at me, told me never to say her voice again, never to say her name. He didn't want to know, he didn't want to hear it. It's been 3 years. My 11-year-old still cries. We went to Panera Bread and brought home breakfast. And I said, "Where's my muffin?" And we called her Little Muffin. And he cried. It's been 3 years. When I knew where she came from, I promised her that she would never die in a cage. She was born in a cage. She was shipped across the country in a cage. She sat in Petland in a cage. And when she got sick, I knew I would never let her die there. She died in a bed with a blanket, and she never should have.